think the best sex of my life happened when I was pregnant and after I had my baby.
Oh my God, I love to hear that. Shout it from the room, people. You can have the best sex of your life while pregnant and after, yes.
And because you're just, I mean, gosh, you know your body so much more. And,
Yes.
And also things shift and change.
Yes.
And, you know, sometimes it's easier to orgasm.
Yes, I actually did some research though. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Orgasmica, the podcast where we talk all about sexuality, sensuality, and all things healing. And today, I have a beautiful, dear friend of mine, Yasmeen. Hi, hermosísima.
Hi, hermosa. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my God, I am so happy for you to be here. You're one of the women that I admire the most. You are so many things. I mean, you are a writer. You're an entrepreneur. You are a mother now. You are also, you are Latina, but also Palestinian. And like, what a beautiful combination. And
Especially today,
you are a woman who speaks up and speaks the truth. You are political and gorgeous and needed in this world. And so I'm so glad to have conversations with you in this space.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. First of all, tell us, what do you do? What do you for work? Like, what is that part of like also storytelling, all the things that you do?
Well, right now, currently, I have my own creative agency. It's called Conscious Narratives. And Conscious Narratives basically serves the organizations and companies that are mission and purpose driven. And so I work a lot with nonprofits. I work with startups. At the moment, I'm working a lot with clients in women's health, a lot of doctors, startups that are trying to change the system in women's health.
Please love, yes.
Which I love.
Yes.
I love. I'm learning so much. One of my oldest clients is actually in that space. And but anyways, Conscious Narratives, is basically working to amplify the stories of people making a difference in this world, because my background's actually in journalism. And when I went to journalism school, I was, super young, and I was like, I'm going to go to the wars and all the parts of the world that, it's hard to get the stories out there, and I'm going to tell the untold stories, and this is how I'm going to make a difference in the world. And then I got into the newsrooms after I got my master's at Columbia in New York, and shutdown after shutdown, and the politics of newsrooms and what bleeds leads and stories just getting buried because someone high up there didn't want the truth coming out. And I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a difference in a different way. And so I went into storytelling as a creative agency, and I'm helping people amplify their stories in a different way.
I love that. You recently became a mom.
I did. My story's changing.
Yeah. And I bet, and like, I know that when women become mothers, there's so many shifts, right? There's a shift emotionally, physically, hormonally, like all kinds of freaking changes all over the place. But then there's also a change of how we see the world, I bet. Now that you're a mom, what do you think there are certain stories that we're part of culturally, or how we see women in a role of motherhood, that it's not working in our favor anymore? That, there's also this stuff, right? Like, stories used to serve a purpose, and then sometimes that purpose is invalid anymore, like it doesn't work anymore for whatever reason. So what do you feel like it has changed in that sense?
Girl, wow, where do I start with this? There's so many, there's so much that's not serving women that are, mothers nowadays that need to be let go of. But I mean, pick a point where you want to begin so we could dive into it, because it's like from the moment that you create a baby, the moment you become pregnant, then there's the labor and birth, and then there's the postpartum period, how you're supposed to take care of yourself when you're supposed to go back to work. Then there's raising your child, right? And there's stories for everything, and everyone has an opinion, and everyone feels that because they've gone through it before, they have a right to tell you how to do it, what to do, what not to do. And now zoom out, right? Because that's impersonal. Zoom out and look at it systematically, and we have laws trying to tell us how and what to do with our bodies and our children and our families.
Yeah.
So storytelling is also all around that. For me, I feel like I've been a rebel since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I feel like my whole existence, being Mexican and Palestinian, has been such a rebellious thing in nature, living in the United States. And that it just, I'm actually so grateful for that, because what an honor it is to understand both of those things and to be in that revolutionary sort of tip right now. But the stories that I hear around me are very against what I feel intuitively, right? And what I feel intuitively is very tapped into my culture.
Your cultures, because you have
My
so many.
cultures, right?
Yes.
Yeah, my cultures. You're right, and I really pull from, things that are not very conventional, things that are not very common. I wanted a home birth, for example.
Yes.
And although it's becoming more common, right? We're seeing it, especially with social media. We see home births happen a lot more now.
And doulas are more part
Doulas
of
and
the
midwives.
life.
Yes. My mom and my husband were not comfortable with my, doing a home birth. But I ended up sort of like compromising with a birthing center, because it terrifies, the hospital terrifies me. And I trust my body so much. And I think about the stories of my grandmother, my dad's mom, who had most of her children at home. And I'm like, if she could do it, why can't I? Like,
Yeah. And how was that experience? I think a lot of women, and I feel like a lot of women, sadly, a lot of the hate that goes against like birth and is women with women, and that is sad to me, because everybody should have the choice of however you want to give birth into. But, it's like, it's such a natural thing. And you want to know something interesting? In Mexico, all my friends that have gotten pregnant, including my sister and my sisters-in-law, nobody ever has had a natural birth.
really?
They all have C-sections, all of them. Not one friend I know. And they all want to have natural births. Not one woman I know, and this is my hometown, meaning like I know a lot of women because I grew up in there and they all still there. And so not one of them has had a natural birth. And that to me is mind-blowing, because here a lot of them do, And then when you look at it systematically, situation is like they push for them because it's the money thing. And they don't trust their body. They trust the doctor more than their body. And so it's like, it's an interesting, where is the line, right? Between like a doctor that knows stuff that I don't, because they went and they know what to, but also what my body is, like, and the intuition of my body. We're so disconnected from our bodies that we tend to, like, believe somebody else over what we're feeling and what you are, like, intuitively feeling about your own body. And you're somebody that was really always tapped into your body. You're a dancer. You moved. You, like, are so tapped into who your body is. So you trusted in that.
Yeah, I did. And I want to say something about Mexico and how a lot of, there's a lot more C-sections. It actually makes me sad, because so most of my pregnancy, I was actually living in Egypt. Yeah. My husband's Egyptian. Yeah. And
adding another culture into this. She
just
just wants to be a part of cultures in here.
And, I had this, so I think, the U.S. is a melting pot. And so, and the system here is terrible in terms of health, healthcare, especially for women. Yeah. And I thought going to Egypt that I would find, like the wisdom of our ancestors and like, things being done
in a different way.
In a different way. the same way I would think so in Mexico.
Mexico.
I would think so
Yeah.
because some of the best curanderas que yo
Yes.
conozco are from Mexico,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think of like Mexico as like healing for me, my abuelita and the
Yes.
remedies and,
100%.
you know. But funny story, was going to my one of my last gynecological appointments before I was flying to the U.S. to stay here finally to then have my baby here. And I was telling my doctor that I'm gonna, try to have a water birth because I've read about all of the therapeutic benefits of it, and since I didn't want any painkillers, like that was going to be, part of it. And she looked at me, she's like, "Are you kidding me?" Like just straight up, like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, and yeah, I'm serious. She's like, she's like, "Listen," she's like, "I'm very like convinced like that I had just seen this on TikTok and decided that's what I wanted." She's like, "This isn't just like a TikTok, or yeah." She's like, she's like, "I bet you saw one of those videos on social media." She says, "What do you think you are, a dolphin?" She's like, "Why would you have
dolphin?"
She called me a dolphin. I swear this is a true story.
I wish it was dolphin.
And I looked at her and I was like, "Are you concerned about my safety?" Like I got really serious and really offended because I had done so much research on this, as a journalist. Like
And
I
not
like
TikTok research.
Yeah, it wasn't about the videos. I had done so much research on this, and I've been involved a lot in in women's health through my clients and understanding that it's very possible and very beneficial. And yeah, she was just she wouldn't even have a conversation with me about it.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, how disconnected are we?
So disconnected.
And it's such a like Western way because midwifery, like midwives were the ones that would take care of the women.
Yeah.
That's who used to deliver the babies.
Yes.
It wasn't OBGYNs. It wasn't the surgeons. The surgeons were there for, God forbid, an emergency happens. They were needed in that time. But gynecological care was mostly in the hands of midwives across the world.
Yes.
And that somehow stopped. And
It's a disconnection. It's a big disconnection to our bodies.
exactly.
And
And what I learned is that the midwives are trained to not just take care of the mother, but also like when the baby comes out, of the baby too. They have a lot more knowledge on like the baby and just more holistic care. And they're trained more in physiological births. And OBGYNs, they're incredible, people who save lives.
Yes, emergencies.
And they're not trained the way midwives are. They're more for the emergency. So if you put emergency first, that's how you get these high rates of C-sections across the world. It's
so interesting. And you want to know something? I've been talking a lot about, I talked with a friend about this because, I saw part of your home birth. You showed me.
Yeah.
Which is like impressive. And then I had a friend that called me in to be at her birth, also water. And the only purpose that I was there for is to help her scream. Because she has gone through my women's circles, and I have women's circles where I have them scream. And she's like, "I have never been able to scream the way you make me scream." So she's like, "I need you to be here." And I'm like, "Okay, my purpose is just only screaming." Like, I'm like, you guys, I'll just like scream with you. Because she's like, "You scream with me." And I was like, "I'll scream with you. Like, I have no problem." Anyway, you show me yours. I saw this, and then I'm like, in what moment did we ever get convinced that we are lesser than? It is so mind fucking blowing to me that not only that, like somebody else thinks it, like we convinced ourselves. And then I'm like, have you seen a birth? Like the power of a woman in that fucking space is like nothing else. And what in the world they convinced us that we were not as smart, too emotional, too this, too that, to do anything. And that we believe that. It broke my fucking heart. It got me so emotional. It broke my heart because I'm like, there lays the power of women. And flesh and blood and shit and like all the things that comes with it, and the scream and the like animalistic part of it, and then giving life. And I'm like, in what moment are we so disconnected to our power? And then I was like, well, in the C-section, right? Because you don't feel any of that. Now you feel the the huge, you're still building a life inside
You
of you.
feel
Like,
mostly afterwards, but it's not something that
it's so
you're
insane.
in control of as much. Well, even forget about the C-section. Let's rewind a little bit. Vaginal birth, but medicated.
Yeah.
So, yes, the most powerful I've ever felt in my entire life has been after birth.
Yeah.
I just, there are moments.
Like during though, did you feel, or during you were like in a whole other space, or during where you like, holy fucking shit, what my body's doing, holy fuck.
During, it's a roller coaster. During, I went through, I was in labor at home most of the time. Again, because I had a physiological birth, so my midwives were like, whatever, as long as baby's good, like he's kicking, he's good, like you take your time. So I was laboring at home probably for like 26 hours, 27 hours. And then I went to the birthing center. And then, I think I had him after 32 hours after my water broke.
After your body work.
Which, yeah. So I was feeling super empowered because I was like, okay, I got this. And I was like dancing and I was making pancakes and for like 20 something hours.
Wow.
And then sleeping, just like waiting, excited. I was actually excited. And then I got my first, like, the way I describe it is like it literally kicked me out of this world. The contraction that was like, like the baby's here. The baby's here. He's coming now.
Yeah.
And I had that feeling, and then I went to the center, and when I dilated, I think when I was at 10 centimeters is when I was like, I can't do this. Shit, I don't know if I could do this. I have to, the only way out of this is to push the baby out.
Which we all know, but it's like in that moment, the realization of like, holy
The realization of
that there's no way back, no way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it's really funny because I was so set on having an unmedicated birth, and I was like, I could definitely do this. And, I'd read about all the hormones that get released naturally to help you deal with the pain. And I was like, wow, how beautiful is our body? Like, my body's going to help me. I trust so much my body. My body's weak. I can do this. But then you hit a point in a wall where you're like, oh my God, can I do this?
Yeah.
Can I do this? And then, that's why it's so important to have a team who believes in you and your body.
And they go, yes, you can.
And they go, and my midwife literally was like, this is where you need to push. Just keep pushing there. The moment the head came out, that's when I was like, I'm a fucking badass bitch.
Yes, fuck yes.
I did that.
Yeah.
I did that because, there are moments you doubt. You're like, okay, I had so much compassion, and I was like, wow, I understand why women get medicated.
Yeah.
It is a lot of pain, but it's also, after, I think within the first 24 hours after I had my baby, because they send you home the very same day because you can.
Yeah, it's not a hospital.
You're not.
Or,
yeah. The first 24 hours, I was like, wow, I don't know if I'll ever. This was a lot. Like, I was in shock. I was like, I don't know if I'll do this again. And then it really is true. Like, you just forget afterwards, and then
you block it.
Block
making you remember all of it.
No, but like I think about it, and I haven't spoken to one person who's had a natural birth at the hospital who's had a incredible experience. And so like I would do this again. I would do exactly the same thing again if I could.
You would.
Yeah, 100%.
And you have a team of people, like you said, that they're like helping you breathe through it and scream if you need, and like whatever it is that you need. And fuck yeah, you did that. I mean, it is like really amazing to me. I was also talking to another friend. I was like, you know what? I think the disconnection, because I've been like, why are we so disconnected into the power of womanhood in that sense, like we obviously can handle more pain even through our periods, you know what I mean, like through the cramps and all the things that comes with it. And I also had the realization that for many years and for many centuries, I guess, I don't know how many, men were never part of the birth.
That's true.
They never got to see this shit. They didn't see this shit.
They didn't. No, I'm just thinking about my poor husband.
Was he almost passing out? I mean, the 70s or whatever, men were like out there smoking cigars, what women were like giving birth. So they were not like, because I had a friend that was like, her husband was like, I've never seen anything like this. And I have so much like reverence for you in this moment, because he just could not absolutely believe what just went down. And I was like, right, men don't see this part, you know what I mean? Or they also don't see the blood pouring out like every month, you know what I mean? They're not in touch with that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, how did your husband react?
Oh, my poor. Okay, so for those who don't know my husband grew up his entire life in Egypt, and yeah, it's very. How would I say? Like, the experience of women is very sterilized, right? Like, you don't talk about your period.
Right.
You don't talk about bleeding every month. You don't talk about like these pains. Like, it's just like you're a lady. You're proper. That still exists over there very strongly, as it does exist in many parts of Latin America.
Yes.
And here I am. Of course, my husband has to be open to this, to marry me, because I'm just very uncensored with this. I'm just a raw person. I'm just going through life.
But it is still part of his culture.
But it's still
even
part
when
of his
you're
culture.
open, there's still part of your culture is like, well, I didn't get exposed to any of this before.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, of course, when I was like, I want to have my, the baby at home, he's like, what? He's like, hold on. I explained to him all the benefits of a natural birth. He's like, okay. Like, once I explained things, he's like, okay, cool. But he had no idea what the hell was waiting for him the day of the birth. And he just, he was such a trooper. He did really well. But yeah, we did have I did take him to like a doula training, like a private session.
Yeah.
She explained to him step by step what was going to happen. So he had that. But still, the day of the birth, he was just, I could tell he surrendered to what was happening. And he just was there with me. And just like was very much just like asking me what I needed and just like reminding me of my strength. And I think that is probably the best thing he did that day, because it's like the mom and the baby are the ones that are like doing the hard work that no one else can do at the moment, right? Of course, there's hard work with the midwife and like your team.
Yeah, no, but you're in it.
But when you're in it,
yeah, you and your kid, yeah.
And so, but yeah, he was afterwards. He freaked out you're talking about blood. Like he freaked out. All the blood that came out after the baby came out. He thought he didn't know if that was normal or not. And so he was just worried about me not being okay. But it's just as important for them to be a part of that.
100%.
It's just as important for the baby to have skin to skin with the father right after the baby's born.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know that. They think first of all, a lot of babies don't get skin to skin with their mom.
because they're like swoosh over.
They're
somewhere.
taken out somewhere else. But as soon as the baby comes out, like the baby needs to be skin to skin. Like that's so important and necessary. And
well, it's a trauma. Being born is a trauma.
Yeah.
It's like you're here very nicely in a cocoon by yourself, and all of a sudden, rocks, with like screams, blood, fucking like, lights, like all the noises that are huge. It's like, it's a big transition.
Yeah, it is. And my baby did so well. I felt like it's a psychedelic experience. Like,
yes.
I mean, without the psychedelics.
Yeah. You felt like kind of outside, but inside of your body at the same time.
Completely. I was literally between worlds. And I had heard that before.
Yes.
And thank God I did, because I've had many plant medicine experiences before. And I think the biggest, so you could prepare the most that you've ever, like with all the information you could take all the courses, you could think what's going to happen, and then you can also not know anything in the moment. So I was, quote unquote, very prepared, but nothing in the world, could have prepared me for that experience. Yeah. But one thing that did help me was the practice of surrendering, which I learned from plant medicine.
Yeah, because you can't fight it.
Yeah.
You can't fight it. You just like, if you fight it, you go against it, and it's even worse of an experience than if you just like let go.
Yeah.
And I love that part, surrendering. It's really, and like you said, like when you have done plant medicine, it's like this line that you're like, oh, I'm not dying. But I bet that a lot of women don't know that feeling, and the surrendering feels like I'm surrendered to death, which, listen, it is a death.
Yeah.
It's a death of who you were, right? It's a death of your old identity,
Right.
and it's a death of like that you again prepare little by little, but all of a sudden it's like here you're
Yeah.
different, your body's different, your like tits are different, like your experience of the world absolutely is everything.
And you're a lot more fearless. Going back to your point of feeling powerful.
Yeah.
Like there's something about unmedicated births that really, I mean, no matter how you have your baby, even if it's a C-section, like becoming a mom is I think the most fearless thing that
Fuck
you
yeah.
could
Fuck yeah,
you could do,
absolutely.
no matter what.
100%.
Period. So I just have to say that
Yes,
because
yes,
there's
yes.
no, and the birthing experience for me made me feel very fearless in so much, because when you're allowed to take control and listen to your body and really trust in your own way, whatever that way is, gosh, it's so empowering.
Yeah.
It's so empowering.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like I went through that and like I was able to push when I felt like I needed to push.
Yes.
Not when the doctor told
No,
me,
but when
not
somebody's like,
someone
"Push
else.
now,"
No.
right?
When I
You.
felt like, I was encouraged, I was coached. But
Yeah.
when the fact that I went through that, I feel like it gives you such a fearlessness.
Oh my God, 100%. And I think that's why it's so important to do those practices of embodiment and sexuality. People think it's like disjointed from motherhood, right? Because motherhood is looked as very asexual. It's like the act of getting pregnant is sexual, but then after, like obviously,
You lose it. It's gone. Bye.
But right after we asexualize women in the most like intense way, it's like so interesting to me, even like with casting, right? Because I used to do casting for commercials.
Yeah.
And like all the casting, when you go for a role of mom, they're like, you cannot have, like this would be absolutely inappropriate. Like a mom cannot absolutely wear this.
Wow.
So you have to wear like this with a cardigan. And I swear to God, if you see commercials of a mom selling whatever, like cleaning and blah, 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 she is like the least sexy and the most asexual as possible as it can be. And it's like we take the
Have
sexuality
I never
off
seen
of
Latina
women.
moms? No, I'm just kidding.
Like also because I did a lot of commercials for Latina moms. And so
Yeah.
it's like all the, like they take sexuality out of women. But what you're saying is so important for women to understand that when they want to come back into their sexuality, right? They come to me because they're like, I don't have any libido. I'm like really disconnected from my body, my sexuality. The importance of coming back into your body and listen to your body, to be your guide. So then you can find more pleasure, you can find my this, that, all the things. But then it trickles down into all your life, which then it trickles down to your birth. Because if you're an embodied person over here, then you're going to be an embodied birth experience, because you're going to know, like, oh, I know what my body feels like, because I know what my body feels like in pleasure. I know what my body feels uncomfortable. I speak out also for my body, which is also important. I have stories of so many women that they knew that something was not right, and the doctor or the person was like, you have to do this. And they're like, no, but they don't say anything because we are also taught to shut the fuck up, and like other people know better than we do. But like, your fucking body, like the connection to your sexuality is also that connecting to your body in a sense of like, you fucking know it. And in a lot of classes, I started the class being like, I'm gonna show you this meditation, this blah blah blah, but I cannot know what you're feeling. So as to like me doing it like this would feel amazing, that same movement to you might feel horrific. So you change it how you see fit, because your body is your guide.
Yes.
And
I
you
agree.
have done so much work, because I've known you before you were a mother, obviously. So you have done so much work in embodiment and really getting to know your body and really being in touch with your body, that obviously helped you during birth in that kind of a sense.
So you talk about embodiment and how, before I got pregnant, I felt very embodied, and which is why I was able to choose the team and really be in my body during my birth, which really helped me. Postpartum, I've obviously I'm still connected very much to my body,
Yeah.
but something has shifted. It's different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very different because, breastfeeding, for example, I'm still breastfeeding. And there is that piece of like, by default, your body is not
Yours.
yours
Yeah.
by yourself anymore. Plant medicine, for example, combo. I love doing a detox with combo.
You do. You're so brave.
And, I love using cannabis sometimes to help me, with pain or sleep or whatever. And these are all things that, for example, like I don't put into my body anymore or at this moment because I'm breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And also just like touch, right? When you're breastfeeding so much, of course, there's scientific reasons why also women get irritable more because there's a hormone that goes higher and there's other hormones that go lower. And so your irritability is, but also just like the fact that like
You're touched all the
you're
time.
touched all the time from a baby. And even though I love the bonding time, I love that time with my son. It's still like there's just the nonstop of it every day for, whatever, a year or however long someone decides to do it.
You overstimulate it.
It's overstimulated, and sometimes there's some disassociation that happens. And so you have to come back into your body in a very conscious, intentional way. And so that's why embodiment shifts a little bit.
It does. It shifts because also, like you said, there's a person hanging from your boobs. And it's a different type of embodiment. As to embodiment before used to be like, oh yeah, me and my pleasure. And now you're like, okay, me, my son, my boob, that it's a food, that it's like, like it comes in, in that kind of a sense.
Yeah.
You also wanted to talk about the systems because you are a woman on the go who lives life, wanting to eat life like me, which is why we connected. I'm like,
And
I
so-
want it all.
Yes.
I want to eat life.
Yes.
And you're also like that. And so you had in your plans to take a couple of weeks and then coming back to work because that was your mentality. You're like, I'm going to give birth and I'm just going to. Also, to mention that you work from home. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could work from wherever in the world for the most part, right? There's some days I have shoots or in-person meetings, but for the most part, yeah, I get to work wherever my computer and internet is, which is great. And I thought, very naively, that I could. Yeah, 2 weeks is enough time to like not have my screen at all in front of me, to just really be dedicated with my baby and then go back to work, bounce back. My brain was not functioning. Like it just began to like function, I think, for so many reasons. Like I'm sure people can think like the lack of sleep, the body healing, the like
Hormones,
all
blah,
the
blah,
things,
blah.
all the things. It began to bounce back at 3 weeks. Began, like, which is not the time you should be going back to work. And so, I've been asked, like, what's the biggest lesson postpartum? Like, what would you tell other moms? And the thing I always say is like, wow, the thing I learned was that I was absolutely insane to think that I was good to go back to work.
Yeah.
3 weeks postpartum. And this is with my own company, working from home. So then I started looking deeply into it, and I researched, and the time that women take off, usually in the U.S., the time that they go back to work, is between 2 and 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
And so it's just...
Yeah. Well, it's not a system that it's created. It's interesting, right? Because there's so much pressure from also certain type of people right now of like have kids, have kids. And I get it a lot because I don't have kids. And there's a lot of like systematic pressure of like, you should like, and they're even, I think they're putting up in the works or has been talked about a little bit, like government federally, that you're going to be like charge or whatever if you don't have children, or like your taxes that
Where?
are going to impact your taxes.
Really?
Yes, because this is all the plan of the whatever 2026. Is that what the fuck the plan is?
Oh, the
and
new
so
administration.
it's very interesting to be like, okay, yeah, you're pushing women like have children, please, because there's so many women right now that are not deciding to, and that's their choice and whatever. That's the same, my body, my choice. That's the same fucking thing, right? And so it's like all these things, and then they're like, yes, have more children, and yet the system is absolutely not
Supportive
of it.
And here's the thing. Everything's a trickle effect, right? It's not where okay, C-sections, high rate of C-sections. It doesn't stop at like where, okay, you had the C-section, you have a hard time recovering, and that's the end of that effect of that one thing. Or inductions of labor, like interventions, medical interventions. That affects so much more, and it comes from so much more behind that, right?
Yeah.
So going back to work, if we're just going to start there,
Yeah.
that affects, for example, breastfeeding,
Yeah.
right? The number one reason why, or the number one difficulty of, why women can't breastfeed as well or as much as they would like has to do with the fact that there's no paid maternity leave. They have to go back to work. There's a necessity to go back to work. And then what does that impact when you don't breastfeed your child, right? Breast milk is the healthiest thing that you can give your child the first months, the first year of their life, actually. And it prevents diseases long term.
Yeah, and it's like an antibiotic. It's like all these things.
It's immunity building. It's for their gut. It prevents so many things that they can get later on in life. So it affects them for the rest of their life.
Right.
So we're talking about health for children now.
Yeah.
That the maternity leave is impacting.
Yeah.
And then you keep going with the lifespan of this child who didn't get the breast milk because the system didn't support the mom, and we're here, and there's so many other things that get affected.
And now because there's other countries that have it differently, right? There's other countries that have like 3-4 months maternity leave, and there's some other countries that have paternity leave as well,
right
at the same time.
Absolutely. And actually there is a correlation between the countries that have a longer maternity leave, or actually maternity leave, and the breastfeeding, right? So the higher rates of breastfeeding happens in countries that support
that makes a lot of
and
sense.
give a lot more maternity leave.
But now I feel like you're coming from a lot of cultures, and I always have said if I ever wanted kids, like there's no way that I can have them here because my family is not here.
Right.
And I feel like motherhood in this country, from this specific culture, the United States culture, is very individualistic. The culture in general, it's individualistic culture, which is why, oh, we're the best country in the world, like all these things, right? All these terms. But I see how it affects mothers and mothering, because it's never meant to just be you. Two people can never take care of all the needs 24/7 of a little person who needs attention, and your full conscious attention 24/7. No brain can hold that. And no matter how good of a person and conscious person you happen to fucking be, there's nobody, you haven't slept in hours. You're checking out. You have to, for your survival, you know what I mean? And so other people around your kid, their grandparents, their the aunts, all this stuff, here, give him to me, all that stuff. It's a normal part of the existence of growing up, and good for the kid in attachment theory. That's how your attachment, it also implies on how many people are around you all the time. And you and I come from pretty big families that are around all the fucking time. And your mom is here, and your mom comes in the door at a moment's notice, and she's with her towel on her head, and I love this situation, and it makes me feel so sad for women that don't have that support.
Yeah.
And they also don't know how to ask for it or get it or create it, or how the hell do they create communities where you're not alone. And there's so many women that are alone at their house by themselves 24 hours. The husband comes, he's too tired to whatever. And it's all the weight on her, and they're obviously burnt out, but also going insane.
Yeah. So the feeling of loneliness and lack of support is not what's foreign. That is very much felt across a lot of mothers. Yeah. Especially in this country.
Yeah.
What is foreign and what is uncommon is seeing and hearing and experiencing that sort of tribe community that a mother or a child or a family, mother, father, child, or, a couple and child need. And me coming from, these cultures that this is more common in, I still love to see and learn from other people and their cultures. For example, you actually, gosh, like I love hearing your stories of how involved you are with your nieces and nephews. And I remember just sitting down interviewing you on my couch just because I just love hearing. I'm like, wow, you really just like, you go in there and I'm soaking up and absorbing all of this information you're telling me because I know, I also think of it from the perspective of your siblings that are so lucky to have you and have such an involved tia, and your nieces and nephews that are also very, very lucky to have you. And it's such we live in an individualistic society and a very sort of like ask first, boundaries, make a time and a day to go over. And it's like some of these are great for things like in culture, like it's great, but it's also stops the flow of natural, like here, what's yours, your child is my child, your pain is my pain, your joy is my joy, and that our cultures naturally have. Yeah. So I think when we talk about cultivating community in places like the United States, first of all, I think it's important to show people what that actually looks like and what that actually means. And so if you're a mother and you know what you needed, right, which is sometimes it's literally a 30-minute visit. You go over, you say, hi, mama. What have you taken a shower? Have you eaten? Have you taken some time to breathe? Do you want to go take a run? Give me the kid. Like, go. Do what you need to do. Go sit down and look up at the ceiling if you'd like, And sometimes it's as simple as that. So for mothers to know what they need and then offering it to people they love, people in their community. That's sometimes what it looks like. And then asking for help. Sometimes people don't know. Like I have to say, even though I grew up around this, I remember feeling like, wow, the way I was supported by friends who are mamas, I wish I was that supportive with them before I became a mom. I had no fucking idea.
Yeah,
you
didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah,
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so if you do know.
Do something.
Yeah. Be that first
for
and then
people.
and also ask for help, because some people, as like for me, I would have loved for someone to be like, it's like, while you're coming, bring me. I would have been so happy to help. Oh my God, but sometimes you don't know.
No, you don't know. A lot of people get resentful and ask for like we don't know how to help or 100%. Then I want to talk really briefly about how has your sexuality changed, because I want to crossed out that philosophy that all of a sudden mothers are just mothers and they're like sainted asexual and they're just not, to be sexualized or themselves feeling sexual again. So how has your sexuality being from somebody that was pretty free and pretty in her body and pretty that to now having a baby in your boob and having all of that stuff has changed your sexuality now?
So God, everyone talks about the bad things that happen during pregnancy and postpartum when it comes to sexuality, and I just, for me, there is a possibility for it getting better. Like that happened. It did for me. I mean, I think the best sex of my life happened when I was pregnant and after I had my baby.
Oh my God, I love to hear that. Shout it from the room, people. You can have the best sex of your life while pregnant. And after, yes.
And because you're just, I mean, gosh, you know your body so much more, and
Yes.
and also things shift and change.
Yes.
And sometimes it's easier to orgasm.
Yes, I actually did some research about this.
Did you?
Yes, I
Oh,
did,
gosh.
because you talked to
Okay.
me about it, and I was like, I wonder why. And so I did some research, and it has to be with, well, the pelvic floor, right? Your pelvic floor, now it's different. It's a little bit looser,
Yes.
which is why you have to do Kegels and exercise or whatever. But there's an expansion that you have that you didn't have before. And so there's this expansion that can be an expansion of pleasure through your pelvic floor. Then there's
That
a
makes
hormonal shift, which is also that. Then there's the blow flow, which is changes because it's healing down there. So then there's a rush of blow flow. And so if you know, when your vagina engorge, like when your eye the most turned on, your vagina produces a lot of blood flow. And so that's why it engorges it. And so naturally, because your vagina is healing, your vagina is more engorged, which is more blood flow is going through it, which is more excitable, and it can have more orgasms that way.
Wow, thank you for researching that. I was wondering, I was like, is it just me or
No, there's
But
many
we
reasons
don't
why.
talk about that enough.
No, we don't.
Everyone talks about like a lot of funky stuff happens postpartum, but then you heal and you move on, and especially if you're intentional about it and
Yes.
you're getting, you get back to your life.
And one of the things that
That's
it's
great.
important, and it's like the death that I'm talking about, and there's a space of grieving,
Yes.
of like grieving your old life and all this stuff like that. But the rebirth, right, which is honestly something that I like admire of so many women, and that part I am a little like, oh, to miss it. But like the rebirth of like, your body can become stronger, better, more pleasurable. You can become more sexual. Just because you become a mom and there's a baby attached to your hip, that doesn't mean your sexuality has to die. I think a lot of the women of their sexuality dies. It's not because of their body situation. It's because of the burnout of feeling alone and not feeling supported.
Yes, I was gonna say when you said that, I was gonna say that, and you said that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It is because of that. It's because of the lack of support.
Yeah, yeah. It's not because of the body change.
Because if a woman's like really involved in her and like really sees what her body does, that's sexy.
Yes.
I mean, that is
Fuck yes, I'm
that
proud.
is so sexy.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I love this. Thank you for having this conversation with me. It's so important and amazing. And I just want to end with the last question that I ask everybody, which is, what is an orgasmic life to you?
An orgasmic life to me is a life fully expressed and lived. Oh, I'm getting turned on just saying that.
Yeah.
Like fully feeling every moment of your life and saying fuck yes to all of the experience. We're here for such a small moment in time, such a small moment in time. And to live orgasmically is to live fully embodied and fully in every way that you desire.
Yes. I love that so much. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode. Please tell people where they can find you.
They can find me online. My website for Conscious Narratives is consciousnarratives.com. And I'm also on Instagram at Yasmeen Creates.
Yes. Thank you so much, honey, for being a part of this.
Thank you,
Please,
Mama.
everybody, share these episodes to everybody that is about to become a mother, that is pregnant, that has been pregnant, that will be pregnant. Every single woman that you know that wants to have a different experience of birth and motherhood, of what it's needed, of how you can approach it in a different way. This is an important message. Please share it with every single person that you can think of. And leave a comment. Rate us. That's the way that we get to the top. And it's important to have these conversations unfiltered about sexuality, about pregnancy, about motherhood, about all the things. So thank you so much. And I will see you in the next episode.